Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and today I'm going to take you on a tour through Bryce Canyon National Park in southwestern part of Utah. And this may be one of the most unusual national parks around the country. It's got some very unusual rock structures along the canyons that they call hoodoos. And the first canyon we're going to see is called Fairyland Canyon. So I'm going to take you there now, and then I'm going to go through and stop at all of the overlook points in order that I get to them from coming in at the west end of the park. So let's go. So this is Fairyland Canyon. Don't see any fairies here, so I'm not sure where they got the name. There's one prominent hoodoo. They call these hoodoos right in the middle there. That looks like it is just barely hanging on. There's a bunch of them right here, and there's a long line of them over here. I like the way they cast a shadow down here. You can hike 8 miles in and out if you want to see Tower Bridge. Sunrise Point you can easily drive to. So I don't know why you'd want to hike all the way to Sunrise Point. And it looks like quite a maze down there, like you could just get lost among those things, but I think the trails are pretty clearly marked. There's a big cliff there, and look at these over here. A zoom out. Wow. All of these overlook points have very limited parking, so they have the shuttle buses take people around. They have large parking lots near the entrance to the park where you park and then take the shuttle bus to each point. But since I'm doing this on my motor scooter, I can fit it just about anywhere in the parking lot. I'm going to do some huffing and puffing today. They have these trails that go down to the bottom of the canyon. And back in the 1980s, I came here late winter, early spring, and I rented some snowshoes, and I walked down the canyon, which was one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. And since then, I've never touched another pair of snowshoes. I wonder if they made it all the way down. It's a long way. Those last few shots and the next few are at Sunrise Point, which is near the west entrance to the park. And this is what you're going down to see. I'm going to zoom in on some of these, which are really amazing, don't you think? Some white ones and some kind of rust colored, most of them are. There's the peak of that one and that one. And these off into the distance here. horseback ride. Or if you're more into horseback riding, then you can arrange to do that too. They have separate trails just for horses. Fortunately, here is the lodge and restaurant at Sunrise Point. And they also have a general store. And by the way, these odd spires, structures, are called hoodoos. That Overlook Point right there is Sunrise Point, where I just was a couple minutes ago. And I assume they're named Sunrise Point, Sunset Point, because of the way they're positioned, the way the morning and evening sun glares down on them. Here's a nice clump of the hoodoos. And a long line of them in the distance here. These over here are a much darker rust color. This is Mr. Bryce and his wife. And here's a story about how it got named Bryce Canyon. There's his cabin. And he built this church. If you want to hike down, but no pets, only 1.3 miles round trip. And this way you can get a close-up view of the hoodoos. Wow, look at all the people that went down there. And this is a huge collection of them. Look at this. Here's another Overlook Point. That's probably the next one I'm going to go to. And there is a tunnel that you can look into the other side. They've got it screened off so you can't fall in. Way under there is that tunnel. Now this is the most famous of the hoodoos. And it's called, when you see the top of it, Thor's Hammer. Right there. That's supposed to be the hammer.
Yes. Oh, so good. So good.
This is the next viewpoint, which is not much further down. 8,100 foot elevation. And this looks much different. And the hoodoos are much, much thicker here. There's the horse trail, which is way down there. You can hike all the way down at the bottom of this canyon if you want. You can see the hiking trail there, that light colored line in the middle. And trails further down, that is the very bottom right there. That's the last Overlook Point I was at. It's very windy here, it's shaking my camera.
Probably not during the winter because it's rushed out.
Now this could be called Three Sisters or Three Something. Right together there. Boy, they are so tightly compact here. At least that's the way it looks from the top here. And when I lived in Utah, I came here several times and I hiked down there sometimes, and they do look quite different when you're down there looking up at them instead of up here looking down at them. And if you want to get a view from the very top, you got enough energy to do it, you can hike all the way up there. zoom out and show you how far that is.
On horses.
I just wish they had a trail for motorbikes. Well, now we're getting a little higher up. Look at this, a shoe cleaner. That's a very rare item. And here's the way off to 3 more trails. So here's this overlook. And this almost looks like it's snow covered or concreted. And by the way, you come in here when it's full of snow, quite a different picture. So this is where I'm going now. They picked a nice spot for this overlook right there. That flat top kind of reminds me of an alligator. Isn't this amazing? I think that's a nice picture here too. Well, now I'm off to the next point. This next viewpoint is called the Peria view. It's got an interesting one there. Here's an interesting viewpoint. And the really tall canyon side here. Well, this viewpoint is kind of in an oval canyon that goes out to a foresty desert. Here's one that looks like it's got a finger pointing up. Right there in the middle. And off to the left, this one that looks like the Sphinx in Egypt. Sorta, from the side. Far view, and now we're up to 8,800. Well, it certainly is a far view. Wow. Look at the way in the distance there. That is a far view for sure. Look how the colors change on the tops here. And here is the second most famous structure, the Natural Bridge. And it is huge. But as this says, it's technically an arch because it's a bridge to nowhere. Doesn't go anywhere on the right there. And some more interesting things to the right here. Agua Canyon, we're getting higher. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh wow, look at that one there by itself. And there's another big one standing alone. At this overlook point, a lot of the trees are in the way. Trees up on top of it. Just noticed that this one has trees growing on the top of it too. There must be very little good soil there. I wonder how the trees just grow out of rock like that. Here's another one off to itself. And look at this. It's balancing on that little platform right there. Looks like a stiff wind would blow it over. Well, I finally hit over 9,000 feet. So Rainbow Point here and Yavimpa Point, that's the last two overlooks, the furthest into the park. This tells how the hoodoos are made. Chemical weathering, and a lot of it is when water collects when it rains and then it freezes. Freezing expands water, so that causes it to crack apart. So this is the Rainbow Point Overlook. I don't see any rainbows, but then we got perfectly clear skies, so no rainbows today for sure. Here's the other side of the overlook. A lot of things over here. There's some colorful cliffs in the distance.
You know that's nice. That's not nice at all. You could not be so cute. It's not nice to...
Thank you.
And some more way over there, a bunch of hoodoos. There's some really dark, rusty colors. And look at this. How about that? Beautiful place, isn't it? And finally I get to Yavimpa Point. Look how it's just cut into the mountain here. I just noticed a big mesa way off in the distance here. That's a huge mesa. And it's nice and cool up here. 9115 feet, I think it is. Even though I got the sun beating down on me, it's not that bad. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed my tour of Bryce Canyon National Park. It's a really an amazing place. You gotta see it if you're anywhere in this part of the country. Good day, folks.